no one was there, and all of a sudden my body was pushing, and I thought, this can't be real. And she said, just hold his head in both your hands. I just kind of pulled him up. He was born shortly after 1 in the afternoon. On 12/12, it was a full moon, the last full moon of the decade, day before Friday the 13th.
Let it lead you home to, let it lead you home to me.
So everyone wants to know, would you go through that again?
So it was the morning of January 12th, and I was 8 days past my due date. And I was having some serious prodromal labor for a week leading up to it. And I kept saying, I hope I wake up one of these days in the middle of the night because a contraction woke me up. And sure enough, early in the morning at 3:30 a.m. on Thursday, January 12th, a contraction woke me up.
How did you feel in that moment?
I just remember feeling so excited. It was like this feeling of, okay, I think this could be real. All the other contractions leading up to this point only came after I was really active, like after I walked the dog. I was too excited to go back to sleep after that. And so I got up and I got myself ready for the day. All the while, I was still having contractions consistently every 4 to 6 minutes. And I would just walk. That's all I would do. I would just walk around the room, walk around the house. Behind me, I was doing circles in the kitchen, in the living room. And I remember you were supposed to work that day. You're supposed to work days. So normally you'd wake up at 5 a.m. And I thought, oh, I better tell him that he needs to call into work today. So I woke you up early. Otherwise, I probably would have let you sleep longer, but you needed to call in sick to work. And you called in, and that was the first person you told that you thought your wife was in labor. And they were like, oh, okay. You were looking for so much excitement that you didn't get. And we started telling people because I was still having contractions, and they were really mild. Honestly, they were just like, they were exciting. So I thought, okay, I'm in early labor.
So then you called the midwife.
Yeah, so I called the midwife, that's right, and she said, I'm just at another birth, but I'm really close to your house. And she said, do they feel intense? And I said to her, no, they don't feel intense. They feel really, really mild. I can walk through them. And she's like, okay, well, give me a call back when you start to feel like they're intense. Everybody's perception of contractions is different. So to me, they weren't that intense, but I've kind of trained myself to be mindful of all of that and just to kind of walk through it and be positive and optimistic. And so I think that really helps with the fear and the pain and everything. So to me, they weren't intense. To me, they were exciting. And I think maybe I don't know, maybe I downplayed them based on what happened after that. I must have downplayed them because then things started to get really serious.
I kept telling you to lay down and relax, but you wouldn't. You just wanted to get up and walk around.
I know you had listened to the Bradley method, and so you were like, okay, you need to lay down and relax and yada, 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 and think about, you know, not tensing any of your muscles and focus on just loosening everything from the top to the bottom. And I remember you saying that, and I knew that. But in that moment, it just didn't feel right. I just wanted to walk. I did not want to be sitting down during my contractions. If I were sitting down, remember, I would stand up. At 11:30, I was like, okay, maybe I'll sit down now because I've been up since 3:30. You'd think the morning would have gone by slowly because I was having contractions, but it didn't. It went by so fast. I remember you saying you were going to put on a movie, so we put on Noel, that new Christmas movie that came out. We found it on the internet, and within a span of 30 minutes, I only had 3 contractions, and I thought, okay, things are slowing down. I don't know if it was because I was laying down or what, but they were a lot more intense than the previous ones.
By the third contraction, you were pretty emotional. And I remember asking you what was wrong.
I remember that too. I remember laying down and closing my eyes as I could feel the contraction coming and envisioning like my jaw getting loose and my eyebrows like not furrowing. And when it was over, it brought tears to my eyes. It was an intense one, and it took everything in me to just focus on it and to not tense up my body, because my body, it's almost like I wanted to tense up and I knew that I shouldn't, because then it would be harder. It's like it hit me, this is real, you know? There's no way that I could have a contraction like that and that this baby not move down. I decided I am gonna go in the bathtub. I said to Chris, I think I'm gonna call the midwife again and tell her that it's getting more intense. You know, that one last contraction felt pretty intense, at least I think. And so I got up from the couch and I walked up the stairs. And what happened as soon as I got to the top of the stairs?
All of a sudden, out of nowhere, you're pushing.
Yeah. I had this contraction, and then it was like the build-up. So the contraction would come, you would feel that it was coming. The feeling of it coming would kind of build up, and it would peak. And then on its way down, where the feeling was slowly going away, my body was pushing. That explosive reflex was taking over. And I thought, oh my gosh, oh my goodness, my body is pushing this baby right now. The midwife isn't here. I thought, okay, both my sister-in-laws are in town. I can have one doing the tub and one keeping an eye on Kai. All of a sudden my body was pushing and I thought, this can't be real. So I got in the tub and it was like back to back to back. They just kept coming. And I didn't realize it at the time, but in retrospect, I now realize that I was in transition. For what I thought transition would be, it was really peaceful. It just took so much focus and concentration. And it got more intense because this is when I got fearful. I always say, you know, that fear causes a fight or flight response. And then blood and circulation gets sent away from your uterus.
Just checking on Kai, boiling water for the tub.
Yeah, you were going up and down, up and down. Kai was downstairs, we were upstairs, and you were filling the birthing tub. But we didn't have enough hot water, so you had to boil some water on the stove. I was in the bathtub and I was yelling for Chris. I thought, I need to get in the big tub because my body's pushing. And if this baby comes out, I don't have room in our little bathtub. Like, I was so pregnant. And the bathtub just suddenly seemed so small. So I got in. It was immediate relief. It was so much better. I remember saying to you, like, do I push because my body's pushing? Do I try to hold it back? And I looked at you and I said, if the midwives are close enough, I don't want to transfer to the hospital right now. In this moment, like, I do not want to get out of this tub. I do not want to move and go anywhere and get into a car or into an ambulance. And I remember looking at you and saying, what if he's born on call? Do you know how to remove the amniotic sac? Or what if his heart rate is fluctuating and we don't know? All of these things were going through my head. So the midwives got here. They were rushing around to set everything up. The first thing they did was put the fetal Doppler on my stomach and listen to Ari's heart rate. And it was amazing. 130 beats, which is what it has been pretty much throughout the duration of my pregnancy. And in that moment, I just felt so much relief. And once I knew that he was okay, I was fine. It was like, what I'm feeling is normal. Everything that is happening to me right now is normal. My baby is healthy, I'm healthy, this is fine. And then I was okay. And she said, I can see your baby's head. Like, you know, you see in the movies where they're saying, push, 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 harder, harder, harder. It wasn't like that. She was saying, just trust your body and just do what feels right. And she kept checking his heart rate with the fetal Doppler, and she kept saying it's still at 130. Even though he was so low in the birth canal, a lot of times their heart rate fluctuates, and his was just so peaceful. And she said he has no idea that he's going through the birth canal right now and getting a little squeeze. He is so happy, content, and healthy. There were no cervical checks throughout my entire pregnancy and throughout my entire labor. She said, I'm really hands off, so I'm just gonna talk you through this. You're doing a great job. And she looked at me and she said, reach down and feel his head. His head is right there. And she was just kind of like hovering over the tub, just looking. So I was a little hesitant to reach down, but I did. How was it for you? Like, how do you remember that moment as he was crowning, when she told me to reach down?
So I remember holding you while you're in the tub. It was a pretty intense moment. The anticipation of waiting for him to be born, or expecting him to be born, was just unreal. Because you know, like, he's coming out any second or any minute. And she tells you that she's going to be hands off and you're pretty much going to birth this baby on your own. Telling you to reach down and feel his head because he's crowning. And then you reach down and I could just see the emotion on your face and the strength. It was a pretty incredible moment.
I just remember feeling like I can't believe this is happening right now. Oh my goodness. So then I just kept pushing. His entire head was born, and she said, just hold his head in both your hands. And it was so peaceful. Kai was there, and I looked at the midwife and I said, oh, it feels so funny. I can feel like wiggling. And she looked at me and she said, and that's just him getting his shoulders in perfect position. And I birthed his entire body in one push. I just kind of pulled him up, and the cord was around his neck, which is really common. And I remember you just reacted, and you just unwrapped the cord. Like it was nothing. You just unwrapped the cord and I pulled him up, and oh, the best feeling in the world. I could not believe how peaceful it was. Then it was time to get out of the tub so that I could birth the placenta.
Look at your dad and your brother.
What do you think, Kai?
It's your brother?
Is he noisy? He's noisy, isn't he? You let me know if you start to feel crampy.
I'm starting to feel crampy.
Are you? Okay. So let your legs fall.
Did it come out inside
out?
So they came downstairs, and I think they had coffee and they did their paperwork. We just hung out together, and it was so nice, the four of us. I felt incredible. I thought, oh my gosh, I just gave birth, and I was just in the shower, just like quickly, cleaning up. When I got out, all of the yucky sheets had been taken off the bed, the plastic had been taken off, and I just crawled into bed. I was like, do you think it's bad that I want Pizza Hut? Should I nourish my body with something more nutritious? That was the first thing I ate, was Pizza Hut. And we just all cuddled in bed. And I have been on this high ever since. To answer your question from earlier, did I go through that again? Yes.
Yeah, you did amazing.